thank you so very much. There we go. Thank you. Thank you so very much. I was just talking to old John Wayne backstage, and just kind of thinking of these old songs we used to do, you know. First, I'd like to thank some of the members of the band. There's old Neil back here on the drums. Lead guitar's one. I'm reading it, love you. And the bass guitar is old Liz. And the last one, the not release, she's been so very kind to me since I've been here rehearsed with me. It's off and that's Mr. Alice Cooper.
Backing up Gene Vincent was a very cool thing, really kind of a feather in our cap. Nobody ever asked us to back them up before. They kind of made us into a, wow. And we were a pretty good rock and roll band, so we went, sure. You know, Bebop-A-Lula, Woman Love, all those songs, that would be a privilege for us. I always really dug Gene Vincent. He was sort of the dark side of the 50s. Even then, he was an older greaser, the bad boy.
And then, for some reason, we were all up on the stage dancing. I'm not sure when that happened. That was probably later at night. It was a long day.
I think a lot of people partied a little bit too much, myself included. Time flies, as long as you're having fun. And I started being backstage where all my friends were out in the crowd. I got to meet Little Richard. Chuck Berry, and the Doors were all sociable. I sort of ran around backstage and kept my eye on things.
When you're surrounded by that many stars and you're just the fly on the wall, we just sat and watched the big stars. We'd never actually been in a thing that big where we were backstage. We just were like little kids sitting there waiting. And the day just went on, and we just went, this is great, just sitting here watching how people work the backstage.
Alice Cooper was next to us. He looked very diminutive and shy. These raccoon eyes, stringy hair hanging down.
The ninth wonder of the world, Alice Cooper!
We were always the underdog. So when we get on the stage, you're never going to forget this show, musically and visually. We were just sort of this thing that existed that nobody could define. Some sort of dark hard rock vaudeville. We were an affront to everybody. We were the future.
So much of Alice's stage show comes from his love of Salvador Dali. For them, it was like a Dali painting. It was art. It was abstract. I think in their brains, it was performance art.
We did this thing where it revved up into basically white noise. It was mayhem up on stage.
I just remember he had a half a watermelon, and I just didn't know why. it was so chaotic. It was energetic, but so chaotic. I thought, somebody's gonna die. They're fighting and hammering, and it's like when you're in a scary movie sometimes. You don't want to see the axe murderer is coming, so you had your eyes covered most of the time.
That show was very historic in Alice's career. At the end of the show was a feather pillow that got sprayed across the stage and blew the feathers up because it gave a beautiful effect on the lights.
Feathers everywhere. Looked like a snowstorm. And then you hit it with CO2, and it even becomes more of a snowstorm. So the Doors are over here, and John and Yoko's over here, and they're like, yeah! You know, they're seeing this as art. It was truly art.
The music was, and the feathers are flying in the CO2. When I saw the chicken, I said, let me just surprise Alice and we'll see what happens. I just picked up the pillowcase, went up to the side of the stage, and let it loose.
And the next thing you know, there's a chicken on stage. It seemed in the mayhem that it had feathers and wings, it should fly. Then I picked up the chicken. I figured, well, I'll throw this in the audience and somebody will catch it, take it home, and it'll be a pet, and they'll call it Alice. Chickens don't fly as much as they plummet.
Everybody knows chickens don't fly, but Alice is from Detroit. He claims to not know anything about chickens.
Did somebody get a chicken's head off or something?
Of course, the next day in the paper, it said, Alice Cooper kills chicken.
So, of course, the story went out around the world that Alice had bitten a head off a chicken, and this created the myth of the chicken incident.
Toronto Rock and Roll Revival, that show in particular, was what launched us. They gave us the Willy Wonka golden ticket. Now we had to back it up with music. And that's really what started Alice becoming this personified villain. There was no villain in rock and roll. There was all these Peter Pans and no Captain Hook. And I went, well, I'll gladly be Captain Hook. I love the villain part.
Alice Cooper, ladies and gentlemen. Alice Cooper, a group of the future. Alice Cooper.
Thank you.
That moment lighted the path for the next 25 years of the career, which I get a lot of credit for, but I was very lucky.
He never copped to it. He never ever said, no, I threw the chicken on stage. For 53 years, he's never copped to that, to me. I just said, where'd the chicken come from? I don't know.
John and Yoko.